Aloha, good morning. Kumu Ken Bray with the Hawaiian Woodcarving Academy. Today we'll be doing a demonstration on the Hawaiian education in wood carving. Our subject will be the ki'i. We'll be doing work on this ki'i. I'll be working around. I'll be doing the arms. I'll be using a flat chisel. Then when I'm done with that, I'll move on to a different section of this carving. This carving is the wood. It's a kamane wood. It came from the west side from a tree trimming company. Instead of having it all mulched up, they offered me if I could use the wood. So I gladly accepted, and we're going to do a version of the Hawaiian ki'i. The ki'is, as we know, was done many years ago by our ancestors, and they had many different forms and figurations and angulations in their techniques of how they did their cultural practices. It's very interesting. Today, we continue to do this practice as Native Hawaiian cultural practitioners in the carving of the ki'i. So now what I'm doing right now is I'm going to have this particular tool. This is a flat chisel, and I'll be working on its leg, the leg portion. And I'll have this mallet, and I'm looking at the angulations, and I'm going to adjust its cutting to bring it down to a size that would match its features. This is a very hard wood. It's dense and has many different contours in the grain itself. But as you work with the wood, you'll understand how the wood itself So what I'm doing is simply reforming the shape of its bottom leg. If you were to begin a carving by a blank piece of wood, you need a chainsaw, tape measure, and you select your size of wood, what you want. There's so many wood out there that's available. It can be found along the shoreline. It's already cleaned. You don't have to do any debarking or going into the forest or to the refuge station and cutting your wood. Sometimes there's a choice. If you cut a fresh piece of wood that was down from the hurricane or nature storms. You either can let it sit for a while, standing it upright, so the wood can drain itself. Then you can do a debarking process. After you've done the debarking process, then you'll have your tape measure and you do a center line measuring. That will be your guide on your basic fundamental, on your angulation and your cutting. It's very interesting to do this. There are some people that do it as a hobby. As an education, and at times commercial. And there are those that just love to do the work. So there's many choices on these wood carvings. It takes a lot of time and patience, but then the end results will be there. The school offers many different techniques with using different tools and designs itself. The Hawaiians are taught the basic fundamentals into each phase. As they continue along their carving, they evolve into very creativities, which many of them didn't realize their potential into the wood carving until they came forth and said, hey, you know what? I'm going to give it a try. I want to do it, but I don't know how to do it. Well, we're here to guide them and help them, as to say, unfold that dormant potential which everyone has in them. I call it scratching wood for a while. When I was a young boy, my grandfather Kapuna started to introduce these things into as a traditional practice. But at that time, I was very young, you know, a little over 7 years old. Then I always showed up late because I was playing with my fellow friends the same age. And by being late, I would be disciplined, you know. But then my kupuna passed away. So what I learned at that part, at that time I was with him, I finally did my first ki'i at 12 years old. When I learned from my grandparents, I let it sit for 4 years Then it came to me at one point and said, hey, you know what? It just came and I did a carving. And what I did was a live carving on a mango tree. I climbed up on a mango tree and I did a carving with one of his branches, one of his main branches. And that was my first carving on that mango tree. And this was in a while back in Honolulu. Today when I go to Honolulu, I look at the place, there's nothing like how it was back then. All I see is one 20-story building in that area. And of course, well, the mango tree is gone. But I continued to do these carvings as time went by. And I met 4 master carvers in Honolulu. At that time, I was about 19 years old. So I met 4 master carvers, and they were great masters in their own way. So they tutored me along the way, and which was very helpful too, you know, to help me with my work. Today, I feel that I like to teach, you know, to those who are interested and want to learn. For whatever the reasons are, I'm willing to help them and teach them, so they're passing on a trait. You know. I met a man in Honolulu, maybe about 5 years ago. He was an Oriental person. And he said, hey, you know, Kenneth, this type of art is a dying art. And there's not many going around that's being taught. I said, that's true. So I said, well, I still continue to teach, you know, but I know what it meant. You know. Today, with this carving, it's only in a form of art form, the beauty of its designs, you know. That's what I teach, the basic fundamentals of this art, then eventually it becomes what the Hamana had learned, evolving into his creativity. So this is what I'm doing on this pot here. And I'm also working on the inside of the thighs to give a little bit of angulation of matching from your front view and the back view. Normally, we have our students, the Hamana. We start them off with 2 chisels. Example, these are the chisels that they start off with. Oh, let's see. This is a carpenter's chisel. It's about 1.5 inches, and we have another carpenter's chisel. It's a 3/8 size. One is a 3/8, one is 1.5 inches. This is what the Hawaiians start off with. And they said, oh, it's so difficult. I said, well, back in the old days, our kapunas, all they did was with flat chisel and with also pohaku until the metal came in. But this way of learning with these tools, I let my kupunas, what they told me, and I let my haumana know. When you learn from these two chisels, and any place you travel, you can just pick it up and do a carving wherever you go. And it costs less expensive. You don't have to spend all that money as a beginner. Sometimes people spend a lot of money in buying a professional tool set, and they find that they lost the interest. So the best way is Home Depot or Ace Hardware, pick up the chisels, and when you want to learn, it'll be taught. When you finish with your carvings from these chisels, then you move on to your professional set, like this set here. See, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 pieces. And each one has its particular uses. Some of these tools had been handed down to me by my kupuna and my former friends, the master carvers from Honolulu. This tool here, this 45-degree angle tool, is older than me, but it's still functioning. It lasts a long time. It's made out of German steel. It's a German steel, made out from Germany. It's such a strong and durable tool. So that's what the students learn in the beginning with their two tools. So now I did one portion of this right side, so I'm doing the left side now. What I'm doing here is I'm matching from the right and to the left now. If you're applying your chisel, as you notice, there's a bevel on this chisel, an angle. If you're going to cut that way, I call it a sliding cut. But if you want a deep cut, straight cut, you turn your tool the opposite way. Then you also have a similar cutting, but one is a slide cutting and one is a straight cutting. Some would ask, what is the recommended weight for the mallet, your mallet? So it depends on the person. You're a big fellow, 20 ounces should be fine. Then the 20 ounces below is for smaller people. And it's available at woodcraft shops. Catalogs, you can order that. Or if you have a friend, just have your friend made it out of the hardwood. Like this here, this was made in 19 This was made in 1989. And it's lychee wood, and it's still going. I found that one of the best mallets that I could acquire, which I have it in my case at the Holly, is a Calvi. A Calvi wood. Take it when it's green, turn it on a machine, and have it cured, and you got a stone wood. That Calvi wood is just like a piece of stone. But you have to do it when it's wet or semi-wet, and keep it at a temperature where it doesn't change, and you don't have no checking on your mallet. And I can give you an angle where I'm cutting. And shaping and forming back out of his leg. There's many times on your wood, there's a lot of contours and twisting of the grain itself, the growth of the tree. So you have to see what angle that is best that your wood doesn't leave that tearing. In the carving application, you use a lot of cuttings, like into a four corners cutting. You know, if you do one way, it doesn't go, you go opposite. And it's more like a four corners cutting. I'm doing the similarity as that. And when it tears, that means the wood of the grain has grown different. So this grain is going like this, see? It goes this way, then it goes this way, then it goes this way. So you always can adjust to your carving how the wood is. If you're going to tear on this way, well, you just go on the opposite side. Do one like this, and slow cutting. And you have a clean cut. There are so many ways in adjusting your tool for your cutting on these twisting grains. Well, as we say, it's about that time. We're going to wrap it up today. You know, just give you an idea of the beginning into the wood carving of the Hawaiian ki'i. Mahalo, everyone out there, for your time and patience. You've been a great audience. And mahalo ho'iki. Until we see the next time. Aloha.